Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This episode is brought to you by Healing and Growth. Okay, so I told you guys that I would eventually tell this story, and now that I'm settled in and I don't have any more crazy stuff going on, I'm gonna get right into the story. All right, this is the final and last story about horns and how we broke up. Remember in one of my videos, I talked about him and him having a Twitter and his alternate personality. Like, I don't know if he thought he was like Nikki with like her Roman personality, or if he thought he was Megan with her Tina Snow personality, but this was his online persona, so he said. I dated this guy back in, I wanna say 2015 to 2016. It was the summertime. I think it was around May of 2015. I was scrolling through Tinder. I was getting matches, you know, talking to people, swiping left, swiping right, not talking to people, because you know, dating is all about basically finding your connection and collecting data on people. This guy, I had swiped right on him. And I wasn't gonna swipe right because I ain't gonna lie to you, the only social media network he had connected to his Tinder was his Facebook. So, you know, my little nosy self, I went to go look at his Facebook and I didn't really see anything too like incriminating on there or anything like that. He seemed like a normal guy. Like, he was tall, he was light skinned, he had freckles, he wore glasses, and he had red hair, he had a short cut, and he was a cook, so he had a profession, right? Okay, on his profile he did say he had one child, which I was like, okay, I'm not too fond of, but you know, we'll see how it goes. You can't really judge a person off the fact that they have children. I had swiped right because he had something funny in his bio. I don't remember what it was, but I'm really big on men and personalities. Like, if you have a personality, I will definitely talk to you over looks, because I like to be entertained and I feel like I'm entertaining. So who wants two boring people in a relationship? You know what I mean? I want to say within like 24 hours he messaged me. He was like, hey, how you doing? I saw that we matched. You know, basically just asking me basic questions, like we got to know each other. He's like, what's your name? And I told him my name. He was consistent. He asked me how my day was, how my night was. We were talking back and forth. I was like, oh, like, you know, I don't really see a lot of pictures on your profile. Like, I hope you're not a catfish. He was like, no, I'm definitely not a catfish. But like, he's like, you know, you're beautiful and I would like to get to know you, see you in person. So I was like, okay. The first date, I'm not gonna say it was the first official date, because to me that wasn't really a date, but I was down for whatever. I was pretty young. He had worked at a Euro Asian fusion restaurant because he was a cook. So, you know, he helped with whatever cooking in the back. That's what he went to school for. He was like, oh, like, come to my job. I usually work late nights and the establishment usually doesn't close till 1 or 2 a.m. Which was true, because I've been to that place many times before. He was like, meet me at such and such time. I want to cook for you since, you know, I know you like to eat, which y'all, I do. I love to eat. So when he said that, I was like, not you know me. Basically, I had, you know, dressed really cute. Not too modest, not too like slutty. I always like to meet people with kind of like a reserved outfit, because I want to see what you want me for, you know? I just remember I pulled up to the establishment and he was like, oh, just let me know when you're here. Like, I can't pick up my phone because I'm still on the clock, but just let me know. I got there and I texted him and I'm like, hey, I'm here. He was like, okay. He's like, are you coming inside? And I was like, not really, because it looks like it's like really packed right now and I'm like really nervous. So he was like, okay, I'll come outside and meet you. First of all, side note, from his profile, I just thought he was okay. He didn't have any pictures that like stood out. He came outside and I was in my car, and at the time my car had tints, my truck actually. So I'm like looking out the back seat because I'm getting real nervous. I'm like, oh my God, what if this guy doesn't look like how he does on his profile? Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. So he came outside, he had on a black t-shirt, he had on his work pants, and he had on obviously work like non-slip boots, and he did not have a haircut. So I was looking and I didn't see him too well because it was at night. It was around like, I want to say maybe 10 o'clock. And I saw him holding something and I'm like, oh my God, what do I do? Do I like hide? Do I like go outside? I'm scared. Like, I don't know if he looks like how he looks in the picture. I'm scared. I don't want to get out the car. So the whole time he's like looking around for me and I'm not trying to jump out the car because I'm like, oh my God, I don't know. I was like, you know what, just do it. You can always block him tomorrow if you want. So I got out the car and he was like, hey, so he was walking closer. I'm like, oh my God, is he cute? Is he not cute? I don't know. So he got closer and I was like, okay, he's pretty cute. He was really cute, guys. He was a black man with red hair. Mind you, I've dated somebody who was black with red hair before, and honestly, stay away from them. That's why I call him horns. Anyways, he said hello, he gave me a hug, and he said, yeah, I made Thai food for you. He had made me pad Thai, and if you know me, I love Asian food, y'all. From there, we were cool. So we were talking, and then after that, we went on an actual date. We went on really nice dates because he didn't like chain restaurants, and I'm not really a chain restaurant person either. I will go to one, like I'm not against it, but I like for my man to do his research and, you know, take me to some place special. Like, it doesn't have to be the most expensive place, but it has to be some place that's like, you put some thought into it. Like, oh, I saw this new brunch place, let's go here. I love that. We went to a lot of different restaurants. Okay, backstory with this man was 29 and I was 24, yeah, 24 going on 25, I think. And he had his own place. He lived 20 minutes away from where I lived. At the time, I lived with roommates. Guys, as I got to know him, I saw that like he didn't have a car and his license was suspended. That's a whole long story, but honestly, that should have been a red flag for me from the jump. Started going out more. He had a bomb personality. Little did I know, he had such a good personality and he knew women so well because he was a gallus. For all my non-Jamaican people who don't know what gallus is, it's basically a player. Somebody who sees multiple women, who sleeps with multiple women, who's in situationships with multiple women, who is in relationships with multiple women. That was this man. I found out that's who this man was. And basically, we were going good until, like, you know when stuff starts seeming too good to be true? And that's me. I will give someone the benefit of the doubt until something seems a little fishy. I remember there was one night that I was in the bathroom, and his bathroom, and I was getting ready to go home. So I opened up the medicine cabinet. I don't know why I did this. I think it's just, you know, women's intuition, or I'm just nosy. So I opened up the medicine cabinet and I thought that there was bobby pins in there, and I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. Like, maybe it was from some ex that he was with or whatever have you. I just left it alone. As the relationship progressed on, there was one night where he was like, oh, I'm gonna hang out with the guys tonight. Mind you, he never really hung out with the guys because he was like an introvert like me. And he's like, yeah, we're going to my boy's house and he's having a little party and there's supposed to be strippers there. So I was like, oh, okay. Didn't think he was like a stripper guy, but I'm like, whatever. Like, you know, do what you wanna do. That's how you want to hang out with your homeboys, so do what you want to do. That night he went to that party, and like I think I had texted him something and he didn't text me back, and I'm just like, that's strange because he's usually consistent with texting. So then I went on his Snapchat. He had Snapchat, another red flag, y'all. And I saw that he had posted some snaps from the party. So I was like, okay, whatever, he's doing his thing, I'm gonna leave him alone. After that party, we're still together. You know, I'm not thinking anything of nothing. Then one night I was over his house. We were in his bed together and we were just like chilling. And it was, I want to say maybe 2 o'clock in the morning, and his phone starts to ring. The phone rings and it says Kevin. And I'm like, oh, okay. I didn't think nothing of it. It said Kevin, I didn't ask no question. Phone goes off. He didn't pick up. Phone rings again and it says Kevin. And so I'm like, okay, well, I wonder why Kevin keep calling him, but I still didn't say anything. He was like, oh yeah. And I didn't ask him any questions either. He was like, oh yeah, that's just, he's like, my cousin calling me. And I was like, okay, like, why you're telling me type thing. So then the phone goes off and it rings again. It rings again. and it says Kevin. And I'm like, hey, since it's your cousin, you might want to pick up. Maybe your cousin Kevin has an emergency. And he's like, nah, he'll be all right, da-da-da. Mind you, Kevin kept calling and calling. And now at this point, I was like, you're playing in my face. That's a you know who. I said, answer the phone. That's all I said. I didn't question him about nothing. I said, answer the phone. Mind you, he did have a cousin named Kevin, but I knew it wasn't Kevin calling him. I said, answer the phone. He did not want to answer the phone, guys. He's like, no, it's fine. Like, I don't, whatever. He tried to put the phone away. I said, answer the phone. You're pissing me off. Answer the phone. Something is not right. Answer the phone. Why won't you answer your cousin's call? Your cousin keeps calling. Answer the phone. He wouldn't answer the phone. Y'all, we got into the biggest fight that night, and I think I ended up going home. I don't know if I stayed or went home because my blood was boiling, because now I'm like, you're playing in my face. And from there, things started getting a little shady, because now you gave me a reason to be suspicious of you. I remember there was another night where I was home and he wasn't really being himself. Like, he wasn't consistently calling me or anything, and I'm like, something is off. Something is off. One thing told me, girl, go see what's up. Like, something's weird. Like, he's not answering your calls. Go see what's up. I pulled up to his apartment and I parked outside. Mind you, I had on a black hoodie, black sweatpants, and I literally had my hood and I had it pulled here, and literally there was like this much of my face left out, and I'm just watching his apartment because I'm like, something is like off. And so I called my friend and I'm like, bro, why am I outside of my man's house right now? And something feels off. Like, what am I going crazy? She's like, girl, you may be going crazy. He just may not be feeling good. Like, you're doing too much, go home. So I took a couple of deep breaths after like 10 minutes, and I'm like, you know what, let me go home. I'm doing too much, let me go home. Went home. The next day he calls me and he's like, hey babe, sorry, I got off of work late and I was like really tired. Mind you, he was a night person, so that really tired, lies. So I'm like, okay. So he's like, I'm really sorry, how are you doing, da-da-da. Tried to butter me up. From there, I'm like, something's off. So the next time we get together, it was another night where we're in his bed. We're both just chilling, we're talking, we're laughing. And he's like, oh, let me show you this cool edit on Twitter. If you guys saw my Twitter video about check his social media networks, check Twitter, you'll see what if his story is relevant. Basically, he had given me another Twitter when I first met him. He didn't show me his real Twitter. So that night I basically found out what his real Twitter was. And then I decided to look into his Twitter the next day before work. My heart, never do that before a shift. And what I saw was just madness from what he was saying, from who he was talking to, from things that he was liking. And I just remember because of that, like, we didn't end up going to a concert together because I had gotten tickets for us. And I was like, screw you, like, you're not gonna screw me over and think we're gonna be kiki kaka and at a concert together. So I gave his concert ticket away to my cousin. Fast forward, if you wanna know about that story, go watch my video about Twitter. I still gave him another chance because of something that had happened. But then Valentine's Day rolled around, and on Valentine's Day, he was acting really weird. And that's also in another one of my story times. I believe he slept with someone on Valentine's Day night, because that night he was so adamant about me going home. It was snowing that night, but I could have stayed over his house. He was super adamant about me going home on Valentine's Day night. And I'm like, that's super strange. Usually I would be invited over to the crib. I don't know why he's acting like that. So from there, I was put off. I was so put off. So the next 2 months was a little rocky, I'm not gonna lie, with me and him. Then there was one night where I was calling him and calling him and calling him and calling him, and he would not pick up his phone. He said he got off of work at a certain time, that he would call me at that time. Didn't call me, which is weird because he was very consistent with his phone calls and texts. Even if he didn't call me, he would text me. And I had sent him something about Drake because me and him, like, we had that in common. We were basically like obsessed with Drake at the time. Ugh, I know, that didn't age too well. That night, I was like, yeah, something's off. He's not answering my calls, and now they're going to voicemail. So I'm like, ah! You know, the crazy went off in me. And I'm like, oh, he is playing in my face. So then I wore blue jeans, a striped white and brown sweater, a knitted cap, and I had my hair down. I was looking cute because It was just casual, cute. But anyways, I don't know why I'm thinking of that. I drove up and I'm waiting outside the crib and I'm talking to my friend again and I'm like, girl, am I doing too much? She was like, no, honestly, from what you've been telling me, girl, I think what you're doing is good. Like, just stay there, and if you see anything, you see something. If not, whatever. I stayed there for like an hour. The whole time I was contemplating, like, let me try to find a way to get into his apartment. Like, maybe I could cry and tell somebody that I left my baby upstairs and they could let me in. Yeah, I was doing the most. I was really doing the most. Women's tuition is crazy, because I swear that night something in me was like, go to his apartment. I was waiting outside in my car. I had parked down the street. So a car, it was like almost 3 o'clock in the morning. A car pulls up and 2 people get out, a woman and a man. From a distance, I'm like, that person's body structure looks like my man. That looks like my man. Like, what's going on? And then I was like, let me wait. So I see the person has on a hat and I'm like, that looks like my man's hat. Let me wait. Both of the people start walking up. I look at the girl, and the girl has an overnight bag. And I'm like, mind you, the girl is his type. Because one of his types. I've heard him talk about his type before. He didn't exactly say it was his type. But if you listen to someone long enough, you can start to dissect like what their likes and dislikes, what they like and what they don't like. And I knew based off of his history what one of his types were. I saw them walking up closer and closer and I'm like, let me not jump to conclusions. That's not my man. It was him. Guys, my adrenaline just, woo. I hopped out of my car. I don't even know if I locked the car or not. I walked straight up and I said, what's going on? Literally, he looked at me and looked like he saw a ghost. Guys, a ghost. I said, what the hell is this? I said to her, are you guys sleeping together? Are you seeing him? And so the girl looks at me and then she looks at him. I look at him and I'm like, what's going on? Are you sleeping? Are you sleeping together? Are you sleeping with her? Are you guys seeing each other? Like, what's going on? And I'm looking at the overnight bag and I'm like, clearly there's an overnight bag. Y'all seeing each other? He was like, calm down, calm down. Don't tell me to calm down. I said, so you guys are effing, basically. And he was like, calm down. And I said, you know what? F you. And I walked off. And that was the last time I saw him. Because you know what? I'm not gonna stay for that. I'm not gonna stay for that. You're disgusting. Guys, I felt so disgusted. I felt so disgusted. I literally went home that night and I just drenched myself in hot water in the shower. I felt so nasty. Like, you are so disgusting. Literally, that's how we broke up, because he was a thought. I literally said, why is it instead of you breaking it off with someone, you decide to cheat? And guys, lo and behold, I find out way afterwards, after looking at his Twitter, that there were multiple women. Yeah, that's crazy. But anyways, that was a story about horns. There's so much more to that story, meaning like other things that happened to where like I'm like, whatever, I don't really want to talk about that. That's how I caught him cheating in the flesh, in person. And ever since then, I remember at one point he had called me crazy pop-up girl. So anyways, women's tuition is real crazy, and my advice to you women, if something doesn't feel right, look into it, because 9 times out of 10 it's not right. Okay? All right. Thanks for tuning in, y'all. If you have any crazy stories about a time where your women's intuition kicked in and you knocked down the door and smacked the chick, let me know in the comment section below. Bye, y'all. Subscribe.